I'll be honest, I never expected Montenegro to feel this magical. To most people, it's just a small name on a map. A place you pass by, not a place you dream of. But the moment I arrived, everything changed. Ancient towns rose from the shore like forgotten stories. Their stone walls warmed by centuries of sun and salt. The mountains felt sacred, standing silent, towering, as if guarding memories older than any of us. And the Adriatic. It shimmered with a beauty so pure, it almost didn't feel real. Walking through this land, I found myself slowing down, listening deeper, feeling something I thought I'd lost. A sense of wonder that only grows stronger with age. Montenegro, a timeless journey through ancient towns, sacred mountains, and hidden Adriatic wonders. Bay of Kotor, a winding embrace of sea and land, the Bay of Kotor stands as Montenegro's natural amphitheater, echoing centuries of human longing for shelter and beauty. Silver blue waters curl between steep limestone cliffs, reflecting the terracotta rooftops of medieval Kotor and the swirling morning mists that settle over the region's narrow alleys and ancient walls. Once prized by the Venetians and later claimed by empires east and west, this bay shielded fleets and merchants alike, its fjord-like curves stretching nearly 17 miles, or about 27 kilometers, into Montenegro's mountainous heartland. There's a tenderness here, the sense of being held by both the landscape and a history that flows as deeply as the tides, inviting quiet wonder. The fortress stones contrast with the lapping water, the permanence of battlements softening against changeable skies and gentle waves. Standing on these ancient shores, it is easy to imagine how far stories and travelers have journeyed, and how the world's edges always seem to blur where land and sea entwine. Kotor Old Town. Time gathers quietly along the stone labyrinth of Kotor, inviting contemplation in a place shaped by centuries of longing and resilience. Pale limestone walls rise beside the shimmering blue edge of the Adriatic, where the ancient city unfurls in a pocket of mountains under the watchful gaze of Montenegro's rugged cliffs. For more than 2,000 years, Kotor has been a crossroads of empires. Byzantine mosaics, Venetian facades, and Ottoman echoes wait around every shaded turn, each telling stories once whispered along these narrow lanes. Here, the hush is profound, yet alive, a reminder of how heritage endures in lived-in quiet, merging the pride of old with the promise of now. In every arch and square, Kotor asks what it means for a place to hold the weight of so many journeys, and how every traveler becomes part of the unfolding story. Perast. In the quiet arms of the Bay of Kotor, Perast offers a sense of timeless dignity, where the rhythm of the Adriatic Sea shapes both stone and spirit. Along Montenegro's winding coastline, this tiny town shimmers with cream-colored palazzos, bright terracotta rooftops, and slender church towers, all brushed with soft Mediterranean light. Centuries ago, Perast's sailors built a reputation as master navigators, and in the 1700s, its fleet rivaled any in the Adriatic, transforming a settlement of only a few hundred souls into a vital maritime outpost. Walking these silent lanes, one senses both grandeur and humility, echoes of distant trade, family pride, and the gentle melancholy of history's tide. The town stands both close, yet somehow removed from the world, a living reminder of ambition and fragility, with gentle waves lapping at ancient stone docks. In places like Perast, it seems that stories never truly end, but linger quietly, awaiting anyone who cares to listen. Our Lady of the Rocks, rising from the tranquil blue of Kotor Bay, this island's sanctuary invites quiet awe, a testament to faith grounded in legend and stone. Silvery morning light gently touches the domed church, its pale walls standing out against the old Venetian rooftops of Perast, Montenegro, as seagulls wheel overhead and boats carve soft wakes on the still water. According to local law, fishermen found an icon of the Madonna on a reef here in the late 15th century, and for centuries afterward, villagers created an island by laying stones and sunken ships, crafting a sacred place where sea and human hands meet. This little church emerges from the embrace of the Adriatic, neither wholly of water nor land, standing for centuries at the edge of permanence and change. Like the tide, traditions ebb and return, carrying stories from the past into new horizons yet unseen. Lovćen. Here, the spirit of Montenegro's mountains becomes both a shield and a symbol where deep-rooted freedom takes its purest form. In Lovćen National Park, just outside the historic city of Cetinje, gray-green slopes roll like ocean waves beneath a sky often streaked with mist, and stone ridges rise more than 5,200 feet, or about 1,600 meters, catching the changing light in solemn silence. This land has witnessed centuries of resilience, guarded by the Njegosh Mausoleum, final resting place of the beloved poet and ruler Petar II Petrovich Njegosh, whose memory changed the course of Montenegrin identity in the 19th century. Wandering these tranquil trails, visitors feel both awe and humility, touched by a sense of enormous history and unspeakable peace. There is a gentle tension here between the harsh stone that shields Montenegro and the gentle wild flowers that show its softer face. Perhaps in these highlands, we see how the strength of a landscape shapes the soul of a people, echoing outward into the wider world. Njegosh Mausoleum. Perched atop the windswept peak of Mount Lovćen, the Njegosh Mausoleum stands as both a tribute and a question, marking the heights one soul can reach in Montenegro's tapestry of memory. Sweeping clouds drift low across the rugged stone, while beneath, the town of Cetinje spreads quietly in the valley, framed by wild mountain ridges and the bracing air that tingles with the scent of pine. Built in the early 1970s, the mausoleum honors Petar II Petrovich Njegosh, the poet prince who shaped Montenegro's identity with words and vision, and whose remains rest under 600 steps, rising roughly 180 meters above the mountain base, linking earth to sky. In this lofty solitude, each visitor treads the path between reverence for the land's heroes and a personal search for meaning, accompanied by silence and the gentle sweep of wind. Here, stone and cloud, past and future, devotion and doubt evoke a duality, the strength of human will against the vastness of unchanging nature. The journey upward lingers, reminding us that in every resting place, a part of the world's unfinished story calls us to listen. Durmitor, a wilderness carved by ancient glaciers. Durmitor stands as a sanctuary for those seeking the untamed spirit of Montenegro. Dense pine forests cloak steep slopes around the highland town of Adriatic, while sheer limestone peaks rise in silent defiance, their snow-dusted summits gleaming under the changing light. Established as a national park in the year 1952 and later crowned as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Durmitor holds over 40 mountain peaks, reaching above 6,000 feet, or nearly 2,000 meters, echoing with the whispers of Illyrian tribes and Ottoman travelers who once crossed these valleys. Here, the air feels charged with both freedom and humility, as the vastness swallows up words and worries alike. The wild beauty of this place stands in gentle contrast to the tranquility of hidden glacial lakes called Eyes of the Mountain by locals, where stillness meets the restless wind. Black Lake. In this corner of northern Montenegro, the quiet heart of Durmitor National Park reveals itself in the stillness of Black Lake, where time seems to drift slower under ancient pines. Glassy water mirrors the sharp outline of surrounding peaks near the town of Adriatic, shifting from deep emerald to inky blue as the mountain light changes overhead. Centuries ago, glacial forces carved out this basin more than 5,000 feet above sea level, or roughly 1,500 meters, creating a sanctuary that has long drawn travelers, shepherds, and poets in search of solitude. There is a sense of smallness and belonging here, as if the hush of the forest invites every visitor to pause within its ancient embrace. In summer, quiet laughter and footsteps line the gravel shore, but each winter, silence floods back across the snow-laden banks. In places like these, the boundaries between wilderness and memory seem to blur, leaving questions about how much of nature's quiet magic we carry home. Tara River Canyon, a living testament to nature's patience, this gorge reminds us how water, given time, can shape even the strongest stone. Here in the Durmitor region of Montenegro, morning mist clings to dense pine forests, their emerald arms tumbling down toward a ribbon of turquoise water, winding 900 feet below, or nearly 275 meters. Carved by the Tara River over millions of years, this is one of Europe's deepest canyons, its dramatic walls sheltering both rare wildlife and echoes of shepherd songs that once marked these hills. Standing on a narrow ridge, the silence feels ancient. There's a humility in realizing how brief our presence is within this vast chasm. While its waters promise both tranquility and roaring adventure, the canyon balances fragility and endurance in every curve and stone. In the enduring voice of the river, we might hear how the world itself is shaped by time and movement, always unfinished, always changing. Lake Skada. Here, water mirrors the timeless dance between wilderness and civilization. Shimmering in the gentle light, Lake Skada stretches across the southern borderlands of Montenegro, its glassy expanse framed by softened green mountains and sleepy fishing villages, where herons rise from pale reeds. As the largest lake in southern Europe, covering over 160 square miles, or more than 400 square kilometers, it has for centuries served as both a lifeline and a fortress, sheltering medieval monasteries upon still islands and marking the shifting frontiers of empires. In this quiet sanctuary, echoes of past conflicts linger beneath the calm, now softened by the gentle splash of oars and birdsong. Yet even here, nature and memory coexist, sometimes at odds, sometimes in delicate harmony. Standing at this threshold between land and water, we sense how every shore, everywhere, holds the layered stories of those who have been shaped by its embrace. Rijeka Chernojevica. In this quiet riverside settlement, the rhythm of time seems suspended, bound to the winding pulse of Montenegro's ancient waterways. Mist hovers over the olive-green river as it curves through Rijeka Chernojevica, where weathered stone bridges and terracotta roofs nestle beneath the surrounding hills, painting a portrait steeped in gentle nostalgia. Once a vital royal capital in the 15th century, this village was the heart of Montenegrin education and commerce, its old printing press setting historic words in motion, just steps from the water's edge. Standing here, it's easy to sense both the hush of faded grandeur and the solace that lingers in every echo on the river. There is a subtle tension between the endurance of strong stone walls and the endless flow of water, between memory and movement. As the river slips quietly toward Lake Skadar, Rijeka Konojevica invites us to consider what endures and what is gently carried away. Budva Old Town. Within these ancient walls, time and tide have shaped a resilient heart along Montenegro's Adriatic coast. Narrow stone lanes twist through the heart of Budva, where honey-colored buildings echo the centuries, and the salt-laced breeze mingles with the scent of pine drifting down from the mountains. Originally founded by Greeks more than 2,500 years ago, and later fortified by Venetians, this enclave has withstood earthquakes and invasions, its robust city walls stretching over 30 feet high, or about 9 meters, as silent witnesses to tumult and renewal. Wandering here, you might sense a gentle nostalgia, a feeling both intimate and immense, as laughter from seaside cafes drifts softly alongside the weight of buried memories. There is a quiet duality, the vibrancy of today's life pressing up against stones that have seen centuries slip away, each sunrise a promise and a reminder. In Budva, the past and present fold into each other, inviting us to wonder about the countless stories still hidden within every shadowed corner. Budva Riviera beaches. Along the sunlit curve of the Adriatic, these beaches reflect Montenegro's enduring spirit of openness and transformation. In Budva, ribbons of silver sand give way to emerald shallows, where ancient city walls frame a shoreline dotted with striped umbrellas and the laughter of distant swimmers. The Riviera has seen civilizations come and go for over 25 centuries, from Greek settlers who anchored their ships near these coves to Venetian traders who shaped the old town's silhouette, all leaving behind a mosaic of culture layered as richly as the pebbles beneath your feet. There is an invitation here to slow down, to listen as past and present blend quietly with the tide. Sunbathers drift in the same sunlight, that once shimmered on ancient sails, yet the rhythm of the coast never truly settles. Relaxation lives side by side with memories of storied resilience. From these gentle shores, one can feel the world's timeless pull, quietly reminding us that every horizon, here or anywhere, is both an ending and a beginning. Sveti Stefan, a tiny island that embodies both exclusivity and tradition, Sveti Stefan is where the Adriatic's turquoise waters quietly meet centuries of stone and story. From the mainland, just south of Budva, Montenegro, ochre-roofed cottages cluster along rocky ledges, their pale walls glowing soft and ancient as sunlight slips over cypress and olive trees. Originally a 15th century fortified fishing village, the island was crafted by local clans seeking refuge from pirates before transforming in the mid-20th century into a retreat for royalty and artists, its narrow causeway the only link between worlds. Today, there's a gentle nostalgia in the salt-laden breeze as echoes of fishermen blend with murmurs of whispered deals and distant glamour. Here, modest village life and exclusive luxury coexist side by side, suggesting both rooted belonging and fleeting escape. Each tide seems to ask quietly how much of a place's soul is shaped by those who pass through, and how much remains anchored, immovable in its wind-swept stones. Mogren Fortress, once a silent sentinel over the Adriatic, this fortress watches time sweep across Budva's ancient coastline. Its limestone walls, battered yet resolute, perch high above the city of Budva, Montenegro, where the blue of the sea meets olive-green hills in a sunlit embrace. Built by the Austrians in the mid-19th century, Mogren Fortress guarded these shores for more than 160 years, standing about 900 feet above sea level, or almost 300 meters, as a barrier against invasion and as a witness to the shifting borders of Balkan history. Standing here today, with wildflowers softening the cracks in old stone, it's easy to sense both the loneliness and the strength woven through each crumbling rampart. Light and shadow mingle here. The hush of abandonment brushes against echoes of war and hope. Lovćen Old Town. A mosaic of stories unfolds along these ancient stones, where cultures have mingled for centuries atop the rugged Adriatic cliffs. From the winding alleys of Lovćen in Montenegro, weathered walls catch the golden light as slate roofs gleam against the restless blue of the sea, and the scent of salt and wild herbs drifts through the air. Established over 2,000 years ago, the fortress was shaped by Illyrians, Romans, Venetians, and Ottomans, each civilization leaving its distinct mark in layers of stone, minarets, and hidden archways. Walking these streets, one senses the gravity of long-lost exiles and poets, and the lingering warmth of many homes once carved into these stones. Here, the serenity of Mediterranean afternoons stands in delicate balance with echoes of invasions and rebirth, creating a living dialogue between stillness and change. In the quiet hush above the water, Lovćen Old Town invites us to consider how borders like tides always shift, but never entirely erase what lies beneath. Velika Plaža. At its heart, this sweeping shoreline is a testament to the meeting of land and sea, a place where the horizon seems endless and freedom rides on every wave. Stretching along the southern edge of Lovćen, Montenegro, Velika Plaža's fine grey sands roll uninterrupted for over 8 miles, or about 13 kilometers, bordered by fragrant pine groves and the ever-changing Adriatic sky. For centuries, this coast welcomed travelers and traders, echoing with distant calls from the Ottoman era, and witnessing the gentle footsteps of countless communities who shaped its character. There is a rare peace here, a spaciousness that cradles both solitude and togetherness. Children's laughter blends with the hush of the surf, reminding visitors how nature and memory entwine. While the vastness of the beach offers a sense of limitless openness, the shifting tides reveal how even the grandest landscapes are shaped by patient, invisible forces. In places like Velika Plaža, we are invited to pause and consider how journeys, both ancient and modern, leave subtle marks on the world's quiet edges. Stari Bar, once a mountain citadel guarding the Adriatic gateway, this ancient heart of Montenegro holds a tapestry of resilience and ruin. Cradled by olive groves above the modern city of Bar, its broken stone arches and silent squares shimmer beneath the Balkan sun, where wildflowers now lace through centuries-old Venetian walls. For over a millennium, Stari Bar withstood sieges and earthquakes, changing hands between Byzantines, Venetians, Ottomans, and finally Montenegrins after the late 19th century explosion that shattered its aqueduct. Wandering here, you sense the echo of vanished voices, each step stirring a quiet reverence for lives once lived amid hope and hardship. There's a gentle duality. Stillness whispers alongside stories of conflict, fragility, meeting endurance on these weathered stones. In Stari Bar, time unfolds softly, reminding us how the ruins of yesterday continue to shape the spirit of the present. Old Olive Tree of Bar. In the quiet outskirts of Bar, the old olive tree stands as a living testament to endurance, its twisted trunk telling a story that stretches back more than 2,000 years. Sunlight filters through narrow, silvery green leaves, dappling the earth of southern Montenegro with gentle patterns of shadow and warmth as urban life quietly hums beyond ancient roots. Local records and legend agree, this tree has seen empires rise and fall, from Roman roads to Ottoman forts, surviving through centuries where rulers and borders have changed, but the olive's steadfast presence remained. Standing close, it's hard not to feel a sense of awe, a humility before nature's slow persistence, a life measured not in seasons, but in millennia. Fragile new shoots nestle beside gnarled, fire-scarred branches, a gentle reminder of vulnerability and resilience intertwined. In the shadow of this ancient olive, time wavers, a pause inviting us to wonder at the world's quiet, enduring witnesses. Blue Cave, a hidden sanctuary sculpted by the sea. Blue Cave is a testament to how nature's artistry transforms even the quietest corners into wonders. Gently lapping Adriatic waters invite travelers along the rugged Lovćen Peninsula of Montenegro, where sunlight filters through an underwater entrance and bathes the cavern in a luminous cerulean hue that shimmers across stone walls. Formed over thousands of years as waves carved into soft limestone, this chamber has witnessed countless tides and stories, its entrance measuring nearly 30 feet high, or about 9 meters, and stretching 60 feet deep, roughly 18 meters. Standing within, there's a quiet sense of awe as blue light encircles you and distant echoes remind you how fleeting each moment here can feel. Above the surface, Montenegro's coastline bustles with life. Yet inside this radiant hollow, tranquility reigns, a gentle tension between the world outside and the refuge of the cave. Perhaps every hidden gem, known only to those who seek it, offers a glimpse into the world's quiet secrets waiting in plain sight. Lovćen Peninsula. This is a land shaped by the gentle push and pull between sea and stone, where isolation and openness intertwine along the Montenegrin coast. Olive groves wind down rolling hills beside the old stone houses of Herceg Novi, and in the soft gold light of late afternoon, sparkling inlets frame distant mountain silhouettes that rise quietly against the endless blue of the Adriatic Sea. For centuries, the Lovćen Peninsula has guarded the entrance to the Bay of Kotor, its strategic promontories coveted by empires from the Venetians to the Ottomans. Fortresses and crumbling lookout towers still keep silent vigil, evidence of a time when control of this narrow strip meant influence over an entire region. Standing here, there's an unhurried peace, the kind that invites reflection but carries echoes of ancient watchfulness, as if the landscape remembers both storm and calm. Life here moves at its own tempo, shaped by rough cliffs and fertile fields, where tradition meets the modern world on its own careful terms. Perhaps that is the lesson of Lovćen, that even at the edge, where land and water and memory meet, stories linger in the spaces between what has passed and what is still quietly unfolding. Herceg Novi Old Town, a sun-soaked gateway between mountains and sea, Herceg Novi's core meaning is resilience through centuries of change. Within the narrow lanes of this Montenegrin coastal town, a mosaic of ochre walls, mossy stone steps, and blooming bougainvillea invites you to wander beneath the eternal gaze of the fortress. Founded in the late 14th century, Herceg-Novi rose as both a trading port and a military stronghold, shaped by Ottoman towers, Venetian arches, and echoes of Austro-Hungarian ambition, each era leaving something tangible along the slopes above the bay. There's a strange serenity in feeling so rooted, walking where sultans, artists, and exiles once passed, while the Adriatic tide brushes the ancient sea walls. Light and shadow shift along these streets. Here, a fortress defies time, but beyond every gate, olive branches bow in the salt breeze. Herceg-Novi's Old Town reminds us how borders, language, and faith blend and blur as every stone still listens for the next story the world will send its way. Kanli Kula Fortress, named the Bloody Tower, this old stone sentinel stands as both a tribute and a warning to centuries of shifting fortune. Sunlight glances off thick limestone walls above Herceg-Novi, Montenegro, where the Adriatic air mingles with scents of pine and ancient moss, and gulls wheel in silent arcs above the fortress ramparts. Built by the Ottomans in the mid-17th century, rising more than 80 feet, or about 25 meters, it later served as a prison, stage, and lookout, each era leaving echoes inside its shell-shaped amphitheater and winding stairways. Standing on its broad terraces, visitors can almost feel layers of memory pressing up through cold stone. Stories of conflict, survival, and transformation in every shadow. Today, laughter from summer concerts drifts across the old battlements, offering a gentle defiance to the fortress's origins of fear and isolation. In this place, the weight of history and the pulse of daily life move together, inviting us to consider how every refuge can be shaped by what it survives. Tivat Marina, here, the heart of Montenegro's coastline, beats with a blend of luxury and local rhythm. Sleek yachts float beside gentle fishing boats, their reflections shimmering across the calm Adriatic waters in Tivat, where palm trees line the glowing promenade and slate-grey mountains rise quietly in the background. Once a strategic naval port built by the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the late 19th century, this marina has transformed over the decades into Porto Montenegro, the region's glittering gateway to the world, welcoming vessels more than 900 feet long, or close to 300 meters. As sunlight glides over the quiet decks, there's a sense of anticipation, of histories converging with modern dreams, travelers and locals sharing fleeting moments along the water's edge. Here, contrasts linger. The old naval shipyard sits beside visionary architecture, and luxurious opulence mingles with the time-worn rhythms of small-town Montenegro. In the stillness between tides, Tivat Marina becomes both a destination and a point of departure, a place where the Adriatic whispers of journeys waiting just beyond the horizon. Cetinje Monastery, at the heart of Montenegro's spiritual heritage, this monastery stands as both a sanctuary and a symbol of resilience. Hidden among pine and chestnut trees in the quiet town of Cetinje, its stone walls glow softly in the morning mist, and the aroma of incense drifts through ancient archways, grounding the senses in tradition. Built at the end of the 17th century and rebuilt several times after being destroyed in conflicts, The monastery shelters precious relics, including the hand of Saint John the Baptist, making it a site of deep pilgrimage for centuries. Outside, the peaceful hush contrasts with the echo of past struggles, reminding us how faith and fragility can share the same ground. In places like this, history feels less like a distant story and more like a living presence, inviting each visitor to find their own sense of belonging. Podgorica Clock Tower, a silent witness to centuries of change. The clock tower stands as a marker of both time and endurance. Rising from the heart of old Podgorica, Montenegro, its weathered stones and slender silhouette cast long shadows across the winding lanes below, where the faint chime mingles with the city's everyday rhythm. Constructed in the late 17th century during Ottoman rule, the tower once served as both a practical timekeeper and a subtle symbol of authority, soaring over 60 feet, or about 18 meters, above the town's ancient rooftops. There is a quiet power in its simplicity, a reminder that even as empires dissolve, some landmarks hum with persistent life. Here, Ottoman masonry and Montenegrin resolve meet, their spirits held together by limestone and patience. The clock still ticks, inviting each visitor to pause and listen, hearing echoes from past and present meeting in the hush of an ordinary afternoon. Niagara Falls, nature's resilience carves surprise into the landscape, quietly challenging our expectations. Here in Podgorica, the capital of Montenegro, these falls are nothing like their North American namesake, yet the sound of rushing water and the shimmer of spray weaving through slender Balkan forests create their own secluded world beneath ancient limestone bluffs. Formed over thousands of years by the persistent Kajayevna River, the falls measure nearly 20 feet high, or just over 6 meters, and reveal the layered patience of water sculpting stone, a process that has shaped Montenegro's terrain since before records were kept. Standing at the rocky brink, you sense a humility in nature's small-scale wonders, as meaningful as any grand spectacle. And fierce at once, these falls invite reflection, dramatic in spring, serene in summer, never exactly the same from hour to hour. A world that favors the famous, places like this quietly remind us that beauty, history, and depth live even where most travelers rarely look. Kolashin, at the heart of Montenegro, Kolashin is a mountain town where the spirit of resilience and renewal quietly endures. Encircled by evergreen forests and the gentle ripple of the Tara River, The air here carries a cool freshness, while timber houses and stony lanes stand in tranquil contrast beneath the distant peaks. First developed in the mid-19th century as an Ottoman military stronghold, Kolashin has since transformed, surviving shifts in borders and identity with each passing decade, while its altitude of more than 2,800 feet, or about 850 meters, has long made it a natural refuge. In the silent roll of morning mist, visitors may sense both the comfort of tradition and the promise of journey, woven together in each footstep. Here, the symmetry of stillness and movement, old monasteries meeting new trails, reminds us that every place holds space for memory and possibility alike. As horizons widen above Kolashin, so too does the silent invitation to find belonging, somewhere between the known and the unknown. Biogradska Gora. In this ancient sanctuary of woodland and water, nature's quiet resilience stands as both a memory and a promise. Deep within the rugged hills near Kolashin in central Montenegro, mist drifts above emerald lakes, tall beeches and maples touching together, their leaves filtering soft light that trembles on the forest floor. Established in the late 19th century, Biogradska Gora National Park protects one of Europe's last primeval forests, a living archive where some trees have watched more than 5 centuries pass, their canopies towering over 130 feet, or about 40 meters, into the air. Walking here brings a quiet humility, a sense that beneath the emerald hush, time unfolds differently, inviting you to listen and slow your breath. There is wildness here, but also calm, a lingering reminder that even in an ever-changing world, pockets of unspoiled life remain. And as the sun filters through untouched leaves, we are left to wonder what other traces of ancient harmony still linger quietly on this vast and aging earth. Prokletije National Park. Here, the name the Accursed Mountains stands less as a warning and more as a quiet invitation to wonder. In the far northeast of Montenegro, near the frontier town of Plav, jagged limestone peaks soar beyond 8,000 feet, or nearly 2,500 meters, slicing into the sky like ancient sentinels, their flanks brushed with wildflowers and the shimmer of glacial lakes. Founded in 2011, this park protects not just rare species and remote valleys, but centuries of stories where borders, Ottoman, Venetian, Yugoslav, once shifted across the land as restlessly as the shadows between its ridges. Here, silence is alive, and the wildness makes you feel small, but somehow more connected to nature's endurance and your own. The harshness of stone and the softness of meadow meet, offering both challenge and sanctuary. Like mountains anywhere, Prokletije reminds us how boundaries, geographic or personal, shape us, yet always invite us to look further. Plav Lake. Stillness and water meet at the heart of this glacier-carved basin, where Montenegro's wild northern valleys cradle a sanctuary for both nature and memory. Along the gentle edges of Plav, reflections of snow-capped peaks shimmer across the lake's wide surface, which stretches nearly 3 miles, or about 5 kilometers, from shore to shore, its clarity shifting with the sky above. Centuries ago, Illyrian and Slavic tribes found refuge beside these banks, their histories merging through Ottoman rule and the changing borders of the Balkans, always anchored by the lake's enduring calm. Walking beside these alpine waters, it is difficult not to sense both solitude and belonging, the ache of past migrations held within each ripple. Here, serenity rivals winter's storms, and the silence draws out whispers of both peace and survival. In a world forever in motion, Plav Lake remains a gentle reminder of the ways water can hold a landscape's entire story, waiting for those who choose to listen. Ada Bojana, an island where land, river, and sea meet in gentle conversation. Ada Bojana is a quiet retreat at the southern edge of Montenegro. Here, near Lovćen, sunlight scatters across wide, pale sands, while willow-lined channels of the Bojana River drift beside wooden stilt houses and whispering reeds. Born from a shipwreck in the 19th century, this triangular oasis grew as silt from the Bojana slowly built up, turning legend into landscape over many decades, an unplanned creation shaped by both accident and time. Walking here, one feels a hush between worlds, the hush of water meeting salt, of tradition confronting relaxation, of memory suspended between land and tide. There's a gentle tension, a place equally made for solitude and gathering, for untamed nature and the simple architecture of fishermen's huts. In this confluence, Ada Bojana hints at how unexpected boundaries can shape some of the world's gentlest sanctuaries. Mamula Island, a solitary circle of stone rising from the Adriatic, Mamula stands as both fortress and witness, embodying the tension between protection and imprisonment. Set just off the coast near Herceg Novi in Montenegro, its weathered walls catch the golden warmth of sunset, while the restless sea laps at the shore, casting shifting patterns of light across abandoned guard towers and overgrown courtyards. Built in the mid-19th century, by Austro-Hungarian forces, this small island of less than 7 acres, or about 3 hectares, later became infamous as a prison camp during the Second World War, echoing with histories far heavier than its tranquil surface suggests. Standing here, one feels the uneasy calm between sunlit beauty and the shadows of memory, a place where resilience and sorrow intertwine. The walls, meant to keep threats at bay, once kept hope contained, a dual legacy that lingers long after the keys have turned in their locks. Kotor Serpentine Road, a winding testament to human resilience and the longing to conquer impossible landscapes. From the heights above Kotor in Montenegro, the road carves through limestone cliffs in a dramatic series of switchbacks, offering sweeping views of the bay's deep blue waters glinting in the sunlight as cypress and wildflowers edge each narrow bend. Completed in the early 20th century, this road was engineered to link the old coastal port with the rugged interior, rising more than 3,000 feet, or about 900 meters, in just over 15 miles, and serving as a critical lifeline for trade and culture between mountains and sea. Driving its sharp curves, a sense of awe intertwines with quiet apprehension. The sheer drops, the ancient stone guardrails, and the slow ascent leave travelers suspended between fear and exhilaration.